You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Hello YouTube, this is Luke V2 Lightsaber here. Today we're going to be doing a Anakin Revenge of the Sith comparison video. As you can see, this one is the Aniflex V2 from 7 Chambers. This is the Wonderful Sabers Low Ground, and this is the 89 Sabers Skinnyflex.
I need to cover a few things for this video at the start because I missed a lot of things when I was filming it live. First of all, the Aniflex is the longest of the 3 hilts, just over 11 inches, while the others are pretty much exactly 11. The difference is splitting hairs, really. Kind of the same thing goes for the width of the saber. The diameter is pretty much the same on all 3 models, hardly any difference. Also, you can probably notice the curvature on all 3 models is different on the emitter or shroud section. It's tough to replicate the exact degree, but honestly, all of them are great.
The first thing you might be able to notice is that these 2 lightsabers are just a little bit shinier. This one, the Aniflex V2 by 7 Chambers, is actually chrome plated brass. So it has that extra heft to it. It's heavier, which I love, of course. But yeah, it doesn't seem to shine quite as brightly as the others, but I actually like that too because these 2 seem to get scratches in them a lot more easily than this one. I think it's because it is the brass. But another thing you might be able to notice, maybe you can't notice it that closely, but these 2, the Skinnyflex and the Low Ground, are actually, they're kind of made, I don't even know if they're necessarily made to be, I think they are actually made to be, have 7 grips on them instead of 6, which is the accurate way. It's because of the placement of the CoverTech wheel, I think. But yeah, unfortunately, this is not as accurate as could be because it has 7 grips. And this one is actually made to have 7 grips as well. Except I assembled it with 6. And as you can tell, this grip lines up directly with that. That was the only way I was able to do it and have everything evenly spaced, because generally you're supposed to have them run down either side of the control box, kind of lining up with the control box, either side, kind of like parallel, I guess, but this one is just right in line with it. But ultimately, you know, you still oh, there goes my card there. Ultimately, I still don't think it looks bad, but if you want that extra accurate look, then going this, then you might just have to do, well, I guess either way, if you make 7 or if you put 7 grips on, or if you do what I did, either way is not as accurate as possible. However, just looking at this one now, the Low Ground, I do enjoy how gold it is. How like you can tell these lines in the card, they're fairly deep, and you know it's meant to be like black on the bottom, but these, it stays pretty gold throughout, and I actually enjoy that more just aesthetically. I don't know which is the most quote-unquote accurate, but another thing, another main difference is the Skinnyflex. This one I have installed, but this one is optimized for you to, this is the switch right here to ignite the lightsaber. This is the only one that's installed, by the way. These other 2 are just empty. But yeah, and then you change the font with this button up here. But this is how you ignite it, and that is accurate to the film. And these other ones, you might be able to make it a switch, but right now they're just static. They don't move at all. However, these buttons do click, and you can make this low ground do so, but right now I don't have any in there. And another thing you might have noticed just as I was showing you is the buttons themselves, like the color. So the Aniflex V2 I think is the best color on the buttons. Let's hold these two up. This Aniflex just has the better, it's like more orange, more amberish. This one's like kind of more brownish. But this one I think is definitely more aesthetically pleasing. The buttons for this one, well, I'll show that. This one is almost more, I don't know, like a lighter orange, like more pink. It has more pinkish in it almost. But this one obviously is very shiny, reflects well off of it. And then just hold those two up again. This, of course, being the Skinnyflex. This is the Aniflex.
And I'm just going to take over on voiceover from now on because I was kind of having a hard time when I was filming. And I didn't really have anything prepared to say, so it didn't really suit me very much. So what I did was I just kind of filmed pretty much just a visual comparison of it and kind of thought I'd interpret it later on and kind of go over things and talk through things. In this next shot here, I decided to stand them all up and try to get a kind of a different view on things. The main thing I really wanted to compare in this first look were the bunny ears. You can tell they're all slightly different. I think the Aniflex has the most accurate, but also just the way I shot it, it's kind of hard to tell how small some of those little ridges are on the bottom part of the bunny ears. They're definitely much more well defined on the low ground. You can tell it's like fairly well notched out. It almost looks like little steps. And once again, the Skinnyflex looks more akin to the Aniflex, meaning like those little ridges aren't quite as well defined, but also I think it's kind of just the angle I shot from. But the main difference here is I didn't actually measure it, but just based on looks alone, it seems like the ears are protruding out they're much longer than the low ground and the Aniflex. So just something to keep notice of. And here we're kind of taking a look at the width of the bunny ears, like kind of the width between them, and also getting a better look at the buttons as well, because I feel like, I don't know, maybe I didn't do the best job filming. This is also kind of why I'm doing this voiceover in general, so just to give you a better idea of things. And here's a really important part of the saber I really didn't cover is the clamp section. I talked about the finishes, but I really didn't cover like the knurled part of the clamp section. Basically, the Skinnyflex and Aniflex are fairly similar. They're definitely bigger. The Aniflex is probably the most screen accurate, but the low ground, the knurling is a lot smaller. I actually really like it. Like, I think it's very aesthetically pleasing, but I know it's not as accurate. But the fact that they're smaller and more fine, it's like finer detailing, and I wouldn't call it ornate, but it's just like it's a lot smaller, so I can appreciate the kind of work and fine machining that had to go into that cut. And in this next view, I was just trying to do a comparison of the brass pin section. I think the low ground has the largest opening there, but they're all fairly similar. And here's another look at the buttons and also a nice side view of the switches. So in general, all these hilts have their place. The Aniflex is probably my favorite. The accuracy, the materials used, the heft, you just really can't beat it. But not far behind are the low ground and the Skinnyflex. The low ground I like a lot because of the clamp card and the small detailed knurling on the clamp section. Also, I don't know if I showed it to you guys, but I'm a big fan of the pommel. But also, there's a Skinnyflex. Aesthetically, it's probably my least favorite of the three on the outside, mainly just because of the brushed metal instead of being chrome on the clamp section. But I really do stress on the outside because on the inside, the chassis it's all metal and it's honestly beautiful. I suggest you take a look at my lightsaber showcase video if you're interested in seeing that. So that alone kind of brings it on par with the low ground, even though on the outside I pretty much prefer the low ground, but just the Skinnyflex being installed and being NeoPixel and all, it definitely brings it up a step. So to conclude, I'd say get your hands on an Aniflex if you can, but I know they might be harder to come by right now, so if not, any of these options will do. As I've highlighted, they all have their pros and cons, but it's really just finding out which one works best for you. So this has been Luke V2 Lightsaber, and thank you so much for watching. Goodbye for now.